It's a little cramped in here. So when I was doing my reviews for Black Mirror, because I started on season 4 of that, then went back with season 1 and watched all the episodes that currently exist, and I did episode by episode reviews of all of them. More than a few people told me that if I liked Black Mirror, I should check out Inside Number 9. Now, very few people told me anything else other than that. Like, some people were kind of vague as to, you know, it's not sci-fi the way that Black Mirror is, but they sort of made a tonal connection to it. And I didn't look up very much other than the fact that there aren't all that many episodes of this thing. They're only a half hour long, and I figured, you know what the heck? Let me get one other thing knocked off my to-do list before we get into the new season of television, and I have a ton more stuff to keep up with as it airs. So I have now started watching Inside Number 9, and I've started at the beginning, which is Sardines. Now I'm going to go spoiler-free for as long as I can. I am eventually going to talk spoilers. I mean, the short version is that it is humorous, it is clever, it is well constructed, especially for where it's going. It has its little twists and turns, and I don't really want to say anything else other than that, because I think in many ways, a bit like Black Mirror, it is best experienced with as little prep as possible. Just go in and experience it. And here's the other thing. Unlike, say, the first episode of Black Mirror, which was National Anthem, that one was one I actually had to warn people. Well, not warn people off from, but be like, look, you very well might hate this. And if you're the kind of person who would hate this, it could be almost traumatizing to watch. This isn't quite that extreme. That's not to say that everyone will like this, nobody will hate this. I'm sure this is very much not to everybody's sensibilities. But if you don't like it, it's not going to disturb you down to your very core, the way that National Anthem did on Black Mirror. So with that established, I would recommend it, especially if you did enjoy Black Mirror. If you haven't checked out Inside Number 9, now I say that only being one episode in, but it's a strong opening. And now I'm going to talk in more detail, including spoilers. So there you go. Sardines. So, like I said, I knew very little about this going in. And I do know that, they recycle some of the actors, but it is, a unique, contained story every time. It's an anthology show like Black Mirror is. It's funny because I don't know if Sardines is something that's actually played much in the UK and in Britain. But over here in the U.S., I feel like I've heard of it, like maybe once or twice. But I didn't need to know what the game was to sort of get how it worked. That happened. I got that pretty smoothly. And so initially, it's just this exercise in awkwardness. And the thing is, it really shows the caliber of the writing, because usually I hate embarrassment humor. And most awkward humor leans heavily on embarrassment humor. That's what makes it, awkward. Whereas this, the awkwardness felt much more real. It felt much more genuine. It didn't feel as contrived. It didn't feel as forced. It was just these people, some of whom like being around each other, some of whom don't, some of whom have a history with each other, some of whom don't, just crammed into this tight space. And yes, that is an awkward situation to be in. And it's funny, and I'll come back to, more about this when I talk about the ending, but I actually found myself sympathizing with Ian quite a bit, who's the character everyone's like, oh man, he's super boring. And he's the first one in the closet, and the wardrobe. And he keeps trying to sort of interject ever so slightly into these conversations, and he says things that just sort of stop the room dead, and everyone just kind of looks at him. And it's not like, well, except for maybe one thing that he says, it's almost never a total record scratch, like, what the hell? Usually it's just more of a, boy, that just kind of killed the conversation, didn't it? And I really sympathize with him, because I've had my moments where I'm not sure if I've done that, but it certainly felt like I have. And I think what really sold it is you got the sense that whenever he opened his mouth and he said something that just made everyone else be like, you got the sense that he had really thought about that. Like, he really thought that was the right thing to say. That was a good idea to say that. But it just wasn't. And man, I felt for the guy. In that part. A little bit less at the very... I mean, sympathize, but... Okay, we'll get to the end, though. So, as the characters add in, and it was... I thought I was going to be really annoyed with... Unfortunately, this character's name I'm now losing, but the flamboyant partner I was initially annoyed with. But what took the cursing, because he was very stereotypical. And I'm not going to say people like this don't exist, but he's the kind of character who, you know, upon realizing that he was gay, wasn't just going to be gay. He was going to be fabulous. And it's such an affectation. And again, I'm not saying people don't act like that, but it's something that tends to... It can often annoy me, not always, but it can often irritate me in real life, and it really tends to irritate me in media and entertainment. But it helped that, like, his partner, who was way more straight-laced, very buttoned up, and we find out why later, had a few moments of just sort of saying to him, like, look, cut it out. And doing it with a tone that says, when these two are alone, and it's just the two of them, he's not like this. Not to this degree. He cranks it up for an audience. And you get that from the annoyance of this other character. And that kind of took the curse off what I was seeing, because it felt like it added a bit of depth to that character. And actually, it was kind of like that across the board. Because I remember thinking initially, are we really just going to be stuck in this one room, in this one wardrobe, and we're just going to keep piling people in? They're going to do that for a half hour? Yeah. And it works, because characters who appear superficial at first get a little deeper. We get a little more about them. Characters who start out as a joke, like Stinky John, we get enough information about them that suddenly that's not a joke anymore. And the way, and the whole thing does kind of pivot on a dime, but it does lay the groundwork for that to actually work. You know, just the little bits of, no, we don't talk about that. The little hints of, you know, no. Sort of bits. And it's all behind this facade of, it's all well and good, you know, stiff upper lip. But there is, it's not like oppressive, but there is that sort of slight underlying, there's stuff here that they don't talk about, and that kind of runs throughout. And so it does work at the end when we get the end reveal about the father, about the patriarch, about his proclivities towards young boys. And then, of course, we get the twist. And I love when a twist can turn on a single line and work, because so often twists that are basically revealed with a single line of dialogue are the dumbest twists, more often than not. But this is a case where one line of dialogue and all of a sudden you go, oh crap, and you realize what's going on. I also really like the moment that they chose to end it on, that we see what Ian, or Philip Pip, is planning to do. We understand why he's doing it, but we don't see him go through with it. I like that ending. And not that I'm saying I need to believe that he doesn't, but I think actually showing him following through on that to what would have been a little bit gratuitous, and I think it lets the moment hang in the air better, ending it where they did, just on a fade to black. And I am now really excited to see what else this show has in store. So I'm hoping you've seen Sardines, because while I still left out some details on the off chance that somebody was watching this all the way through, even though they haven't seen it. But yeah, I hope you have. So what do you think about it? What do you think about this show in general? Don't spoil anything in future episodes in the comments for me, for other people, just don't. But, your thoughts on this show and this episode in general, whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. You know all the stuff that you can do, so you don't even need me to tell you. I do have a Patreon. I'll mention that, but there's links for that and all that other usual gobbledygook. It's all down in the description. So until next time, this council's adjourned.